Okay.
So we got a letter from Fratello.
Right.
I don't know how he found us. And he said the Russians weren't in war yet.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he'll make papers for us.
Yeah.
And we should come to Mogilov, where he was.
Mogilov.
Mogilov, White Rush.
Uh-huh.
And he made papers for us. And we came to Mogilov. And my father, and over there were a lot of Jews there. Most of them were raising pigs. And they used to say God should help them, the pig should
grow good.
Should grow good. That's how they used to talk. And my father got a good job there also. He was a tailor, so there was no problem. And the Federali said it will be in White Russia when the Germans will leave Poland, will be closer to Poland, we'll be able to go back to Grodzisk. That's why we went all the way from the other end of the world to, and we lived near an airport in Mogilov, I remember. Federali was also good off there. He was also a tailor. Federali was a good tailor. And the war broke out with Russia again. We lived near the airport. My father went out one day and he came home. He was screaming. He said he just saw spies dropped from a plane into our neighborhood. Parachutes in Germans. He doesn't know, he said, how he made it home. Because it's bad already, he said. If they dropped already the Germans, it'll be again from the beginning, like we had from Grodzisk, from Warsaw.
Right.
So again, I don't know what happened to Federella. Again, my father had to pack all my mother's silver.
You were still carrying that around?
Still carrying the silver and the red cauldrons with red grapes. He was still carrying him all the way, poor guy, his legs hurting him, his back. And the Germans were behind us already. We almost got caught again by the Germans. We escaped once, here we had them again. And we were running, we came to it, I think the name of the town was Smolensk. And the Germans bombarded the train that we were on. I don't know how we survived there. I remember seeing kishkes from people wrapped on the electric wires. That's from our train. People were killed, and the kishkes were flying all over. And then it was war already, and again we had the Germans behind us. And I don't know how we made it to...
Carrying little kids. I mean,
Phyllis, and my father carried my mother's Mayontek.
Yeah.
And I remember the...
Federella wasn't with you?
No, Federella, I don't know where we left Federella, I don't remember. But my father, as soon as he saw those, from the parachutes, those Germans dropping in our neighborhood, he said, it's time to run again. Good thing we did, because the Germans were again behind us. And we went through woods and the wilderness. And good thing,
Who carried Phyllis? She was
everybody carried Phyllis.
Walking
How old was she? To Hila's age? 2.5 years old?
maybe 3,
Not such a
maybe,
good walker, I'm sure.
no, we were already, when the Mechumas gebrochen mit the Russen.
1941.
She was about Tehila's age. She was so pretty, unbelievable, and Philip. She had long blonde hair and blue eyes. And everybody carried her, and the Germans were behind us again. I don't know, by miracle, I don't know how we made it again. As I told you, our train was bombarded by the Germans again. And we were running, and we lined up in Uzbekistan.
You ran all the way to Uzbekistan?
On trains on and off,
That's far.
on and off, on trains, running away from the Germans. My father said we had to run as far as possible. I know his feeling. Good thing he came back for us. If he wouldn't have come back for us, we would have been in the ovens. Who knows in which oven? And we came to Fergana,
Which is in Uzbekistan.
Name
Uzbekistan.
of the city's Fargana.
Uzbekistan. Over there we found Federal. I don't know how we found Federal in Fergana.
Uh-huh.
And by then the Russians were already in war with the Germans. They took my father away to the army.
To be a tailor?
No, not to be a tailor. He worked in Trud Army. Wie is it mit Trud Army?
Working army, they were digging trenches.
And my mother was left with 4 kids. And over there again, we were hungry. And Rose, like you see on television, those kids from Bangladesh with those big stomachs and the legs like this. And Rose was a big fresser when she was young, and it hit her the most. Every time.
She had a swollen belly like that?
They called it pellagra. So every few minutes I used to stalk her if she's still alive. Because we didn't have nothing to eat. They took away my father, and my mother was left with 4 kids. And it was terrible. And it was winter then, I remember. We used to, in Uzbekistan, we used to work in the fields. How old was I? In 43, 13, 14 years. I and Jean and my mother used to work in the fields picking cotton. And from, cotton you pick out from the top, and those sticks are good for burning.
Yeah.
We used to come at night. You have to steal those sticks to make a little fire to warm up.
That was the fuel.
That was the fuel. And Rose was still very sick. And then I don't know, for some miracle, my mother got a job in the bakery. And we lived on the bakery. The bakery was on the other side of the Floyd,
Of the fence.
yeah. And on this side was like a 1-room shed. And we lived there, yeah.
So you had food?
We had bread. Then, where my mother, it was a big bakery. They had a few places. My mother didn't work over the fence. She worked, I don't know, about 2 miles away. And me and Jean used to go in the middle of the night through ditches. Sometimes we would fall in, and hardly we wouldn't be able to get out sometimes. Took us hours to get out of those ditches, because those ditches were, they were taller than we were, because it was night. and we used to go to my mother, and my mother used to come every time. Over there was also a big fence,
Yeah.
and she used to come every time and look for us. When she saw us, she used to throw down bread to us, and me and Nanjin used to walk back again the middle of the night with the bread through the ditches, and in the morning we used to cut up the bread in pieces, and I used to go on the market and sell it, and we made a lot of money. And my mother,
Your mother wasn't living in the same house as you were then?
who my brother wasn't
Your
born
mother,
yet.
your mother.
Yeah, my mother was,
But she
but she
didn't
was
work
working
there.
during the night.
Ah, okay.
She was working at night. In the bakery, you only work at night.
Okay,
So
makes sense.
I used to be the balabusta. I used to cook. I used to go to the slice up the bread and go on the market and sell it. Sometimes it was illegal. It was the black market we used to
Right.
sell. Who had bread to sell in Russia? And
Somebody who works in a bakery.
so sometimes my mother used to bring home, when she used to come from work, you know how she used to bring home bread? She used to wrap it around, hot bread around her stomach. Once a policeman stopped her, she said she's pregnant. That's why her
And you
stomach.
believed it?
He believed it. And if they would have caught her with the bread, or they would have caught us with the bread, we would have gone to jail because it was illegal then. And my mother, when I sold the bread, I used to make up the prices and bring home the money to my mother. And my mother, she liked to save. She didn't like to spend, but to save. She used to put it in a big jar. And in the shed where we lived, there was no floor. She digged out a hole there and put in the jar. And every time, in a stone on top. And every time she used to add up till it filled up, I don't know with how many thousands and thousands of rubles. And when she worked in the bakery, the big shop used to say, well, if you have 4 kids and you work in the bakery, you have to steal a lot, they told her. You have to give away 2 kids to a orphanage. Otherwise, it means that you're stealing a lot, because with 4 kids, to make a living, so we
They're
gave,
not living the money that they pay.
Right.
so with a lot of crying, my mother gave away Phyllis and Rose
To who?
to orphanage.
Where, in the town?
No, it wasn't in a town. And my
So
mother,
she gave away the 2 youngest,
Yeah.
because they were the hardest to take care of.
and my mother used to go every day to visit them. One day she went, they weren't there. I don't know how we found them.
How long did it take till you found them?
Took a long time. And when we found them, my mother kidnapped them. And she brought them home. Then Federale was there already with Tante Fania. He lived with her. He was in style what people are doing now. He did in the 40s. He lived with her. She was a very pretty woman, Tante Fania. And he was
Did you
like,
say so?
he was like a father to us. He used to punish us. He used to discipline us. Once I remember I took Aunt Phyllis at the I had to go someplace in the bakery, and I sat her down under a tree with a shiksa to watch her. I come back, Aunt Phyllis isn't there anymore. The shiksa kidnapped her.
For what? You get
I,
money?
I told you she was very pretty, Aunt Phyllis.
So where'd you find him?
I remember I was walking a whole day till night. Finally, I found her someplace in an orchard, sitting under a tree crying.
Uh-huh.
And I brought her home. And then all of a sudden in the shed where we were living, they said they're gonna demolish the shed right away. They didn't give us any warning, nothing. And my mother couldn't take out the money. It was left there like this.
Maybe somebody found it since then.
Probably somebody found it. And Petrel also worked in the bakery.
What was all her junk, all her silver? Gone by
Wait,
then?
wait. The silver, when we were in Uzbekistan, this I'm talking about Uzbekistan, yet no, this is in Uzbekistan where we were. We had malaria,
Right.
and it was very hot there. In the summertime, we couldn't sleep in there were sheds from cement. We couldn't sleep in the sheds, so we slept near the door. We were watching the door.
Uh-huh.
One morning we wake up, and they took out the windows in the front. They stole all my money.
Was your father with you then?
No, my father was still in the army.
Because I was going to say, if he'd known, he would have been very relieved.
Yeah. They stole
So she must have taken it very hard. All her,
very
all
all
her
of
junk was
her-
gone, right?
It wasn't junk.
Okay, all of it.
All the silver, like candlesticks and silverware.
Mm-hmm.
What else did he get? I remember he had 2 big packs wrapped. Then they didn't have any suitcases. They wrapped them in blankets.
Yeah.
He was carrying, I remember, one on one shoulder, one on the other shoulder, and 2 in his hands. That's how much he had there. And the bakery, she made out very good. The only thing,
They demolished the house one
they
day.
demolished the house and they took away the 2 kids.
All right, she got the 2 kids back.
We
What-
got the 2 kids back.
What did you do after they demolished the house? Where did you go to live?
We bought a house, a little house. We came in the we slept there, and I went to the market, and we came back one day and they stole the roof.
What was the roof made of?
I don't know. They just stole the roof.
It was on some other house then.
So we had to go to another house. It was still in the bakery, but not so close. They had another. It was 1 room we had. That's all. And Pedavelio lived in a nicer shed with Tante Vanya, not near us. You know what he used to do, Pedavelio? He used to bring the flour to the bakery on oxen. Visa heißt noch
Ox.
not on horses.
Oxen, yeah.
No, an ox. People run after the oxes. They're shit. You know, they dried
Yeah.
it. It was good
For fuel.
for fuel. So Federella decided that Tante Gici should wait for him, and he'll drop off a bag of flour. So he can, bless you, so he can sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Tante Gici waited for him, and he dropped her off a bag of flour, and they caught her.
They caught her.
Yeah, they caught Tante Gici with the flour. She was then about 12 years old.
Uh-huh.
And I think they arrested her, the 12-year-old. And they asked her who gave her the flour. And she didn't want to say it was Fatavella. She told on another old guy, a Jewish guy, that he gave her the flour.
Mm-hmm.
The poor guy. I don't know what they did to him, but then he had somebody that told on Federelle, that Federelle gave. Not Angine told on Federelle, but he had to have somebody to take him out from this mess. And that's in Federelle was the disciplinary for us. I remember me and Angine we liked to go dancing. And there was a place in where we were, in Fergana, where once a week the music played on a loudspeaker, and me and Angine, two little drekjes, used to go dancing
With each other?
who was there. We found one Federelle was there with Antefania. And he really gave us a good spanking there and sent us home. And whatever my mother couldn't discipline us, she used to tell Federelle, and we were afraid of Federelle. Then my father came back.
Oh no, you told me Aunt Jean, Federelle got arrested then,
He didn't get, she told on an old man,
but the old man
got
told her-
out. Federelle, he didn't get arrested. He didn't get arrested, the Federelle. So my father came. No, wait. Then there was a rumor in Russia in 45 that for money you can go back to Poland. Federelle,
The truth is, you could go back for no money too.
no, the Russians didn't let out the Jews yet. It was on the black market. So Federelle wanted to buy for us papers also. And Tante Fanya said, if you're gonna take your sister and the 4 kids, I'm gonna hang myself. And he left us in Russia. My father wasn't home yet.
Why? She didn't like you guys?
She didn't want, she was jealous because Federelle,
Devoted too much time to them.
he devoted a lot of time to her, and she evidently got very jealous. And he left us in Russia. And my father wasn't home yet. After that, not long after, my father came home. And Stalin made that
All the citizens.
all the Polish citizens, that was in 46 already. And we packed up and we traveled again, we came to Poland.
Did you go back to Gruzins? No.
No, because they said it's dangerous. Because when we traveled in those trains again, we went back in those cattle trains. If we stopped on a station, the Poles were really,
Nasty.
they were nasty. So my father said he wouldn't go back to Poland. And we came to Szczecin. A lot of people that came back from Russia were killed by the Poles in Szczecin. And my father put us in a kibbutz. My father was also not in a kibbutz, but we were in the children's kibbutz
In Szczecin?
in Szczecin.
The draw.
And only me and Angine, because we were the oldest one. And Phyllis and Rose, they were still, how old were they? Rose was born in 35. She was 10 years old, 11 years old. And then Phyllis was 7 years old. So me and Angine, we were in the higher groups. And we really liked it. My father was a tailor again, and he made good money again. We didn't have. He made a living, and we were in this kibbutz, and we really liked it. And there was a room in the kibbutz. They were really nice because we came from Russia without shoes, without clothes, almost naked. And the kibbutz dressed us and gave us clothes and shoes. And
Who was running this kibbutz? People from Israel?
Dror was Dror.
Does Dror still exist, Maris?
Was Dror still here?
There's a school called Dror, I don't know.
And we really liked the kibbutz life. And my father found out that tomorrow they're gonna send it. They took all the kids from the kibbutz to send them to Israel. And my father found this out. And he came at night and smuggled us out from the kibbutz. And we were crying and we didn't want to eat because we had friends already in the kibbutz and we wanted to go to Israel. And my father said, no, we're going to America. He had a sister in America. So then we came to Wetzlar in Germany.
It's a DP camp.
In the DP camp, we again joined not a kibbutz but a sniff. Me and Jean, by then already Rose. And all those friends I have here, they're all from Wetzlar, from the sniff. And then was already they took on for the Giyus. Because the war started, they took all the young people on the Giyus.
Emigrate to Israel
Illegally. But whoever didn't want to, they didn't give the rations anymore in Wetzlar. And again, my father said, no way are my kids going to Israel, we're going to America, he said.
This was ordinary for
And again, we were crying and begging him to go to Israel. He said, no way, we're going to America. By then, you listen to your parents. Your father said, we're going to America. Doesn't count that you want to go to Israel. You're going to America. And my mother wanted to go in Peterelle, lined up in Montreal, Canada. So my father wanted to go to America to his sister. And my mother wanted to go to her brother to Canada. Who won? My mother won. Peterelle sent us papers to go to Canada. We were in Wetzlar again. My father was a tailor. He used to make pants and sell them in Munich. And again, my mother won again. And Peterelle sent us papers, and we packed up, and we went to Bremen. We got a visa to go to Montreal. And we came to Bremen, and they brought a big group of older people, of elderly, and they put us aside because they had the priority. And we were left in Bremen again till it was time for us to go to Canada. Our visa ran out. And going to Canada, my father, when he was young, he had pneumonia. And after the pneumonia, he had a spot on his lungs. And just for this, they were very strict about it.
Right.
They
didn't want to take sick people.
didn't want it. So anyways, we paid a lot of money and we got the visa. But after the visa ran out, we didn't know that the doctor in Bremen also wants money. We didn't know that. So they sent all of us to the doctor again. We all passed it with flying colors. And my father again, he said, you can't go. I remember my mother fainted in the doctor's office. She fell down on the floor and she started screaming. And it was unbelievable as scene because we were all there and he said we can't go. And we were all packed, we gave up everything. We can't go.
I got one thing, you had a brother.
My brother was, where was he born? He was born in Wetzlar. Yeah, he was born in Wetzlar. We were so stupid. I was already, how old? In 47, I was already 17 years old. My mother was pregnant. I didn't know my mother was pregnant.
Just thought she was getting fat.
She wasn't even fat. She was wearing those loose. I remember, all I remember, my father came home at night from the hospital and he told us we have a brother. That's all. And we were crazy about him. We used to fight. My father brought for Herscheller, you know from where he brought a carriage for Herscheller? From Italy, he brought a carriage for Herscheller.
A baby carriage.
A baby carriage for Herscheller. Nobody in Wetzlar had such
We
a...
also have one from Italy.
Nobody in Wetzlar had such a carriage except Herscheller had a carriage. And then in Wetzlar also my father he was afraid to handle because he said if he'll be caught, he wouldn't be able to go to America. All he wanted is to go, if he'll have a record that he was smuggling, he wouldn't be able to go to America. But so he was working at home, made all those slacks and sold them, and he used with a partner. The partner used to have a store in Munich, and he used to sell them. So we left Wetzlar already. We were already in Bremen. We were packed, and here we can't go again. We were left like no place to go, and most of the camps were already closed because a lot of people went to Israel or to America or to Canada.
Right.
Here we can't go to Canada anymore. And Pantarelli claims that he had already an apartment for us and everything. After a lot of crying and my father got sick from it and my mother was sick from it. And there was no place to go. We couldn't sit in Bremen. They liquidated Bremen also. So, I know we went to the Jewish organization and they sent us to Fernwald. It was almost the end of this camp too in Fernwald. And we started working to go to America. Now my father won. Because to Canada we couldn't go already. So my aunt sent us papers from Pennsylvania, and you know when they send you papers, they have to write down how much money they have in the bank, and we wouldn't have to go welfare. And so my father saw those papers. He was really proud how much my aunt owned, but this wasn't she didn't own the tenth of it. She just put down in the paper. Anyways, again we going to the doctors. We have to go through again. But then we knew already we have to pay. And we paid again. It went through all the CIA and all kind of you have procedure, fingerprinting and wie hat geheißen, wie man denkt, they interrogated, how, nicht CIA, sie gewähnt person, INS.
Immigration and Naturalization.
Yeah, INS. The first time they didn't let us go. They said, nothing zugeworfen.
Why?
Because of my father.
Uh-huh.
They said we can go, and my father should stay in Germany. We said we're not leaving without him. So we applied again. We applied again and we found somebody, we paid a lot of money, and finally he let us go. We came to New York. Everybody went out of the ship. We were the only one. They held up on the ship. They sent us to Ellis Island.
Uh-huh. Why? Because your father was
Oh,
sick?
because of my father. And again, they said we can go, and my father should stay in Ellis Island. After we saw the ship is already empty, everybody left, and they treated us like we were criminals with police, and they took us on this ferry, to go to Staten Island with police all around us like we were criminals. And my aunt from Pennsylvania wrote us always letters to Germany. She said Edith got married and her husband has a clinic. We thought the clinic, he's a doctor. So when we came to America, they didn't let us go. My father said, well, meine Schwester hat mir gesucht, her son-in-law has a clinic, he's a doctor, he'll help us.
Uh-huh.
You know what he had?
What was he, veterinarian?
No, he had a clinic. He cleaned windows.
Oh,
His business, he had a clinic, window cleaning business. So they took us to Ellis Island. Again, it was terrible day. Again, we were all crying, and we saw every day they let out people.
Uh-huh.
And here we're like criminals again. They didn't let us go nowhere. Finally, I don't know what my aunt did. She had to present that she had more money, and she had to, I don't know, to put down a big amount of money that when we come, it wouldn't fall to the government, to the government itself. So they let us go after 2 weeks in Ellis Island, which was hell. They let us go. And they gave us money on a train, and
To
we went
Pennsylvania.
to Reading, Pennsylvania. We came to Reading, Pennsylvania. My aunt was a very proud woman. She didn't have much, but
Which
everybody,
aunt was this? What was her?
the Voira, the girl's mother,
Right.
she didn't have much, but she said, you don't show people that you're down. You pinch your cheek, she used to say, they should be red. They should know that you're well and that everything is well, she said. And she was a very proud. Matter of fact, she had relatives in Reading from her husband's side, because she was also left with 5, 6 kids when her husband died. She had a nice house, and the relatives came and wanted to dress up because we came with hardly anything. And she said, no, they don't need anything. She didn't have anything, Maris, nothing. I remember we came, it was Hanukkah time, and they were very big in the Hadassah. They took us to the first Hadassah meeting. So they were exchanging presents. So they bought us each a present. We should go and throw it in the barrel. We didn't understand much English then. And they were talking, they exchanged presents. And I remember one came to visit us, and she left a box of candies. So I ran after her. I thought she forgot the candy. I didn't know that in America, if you come to somebody, you bring something. So my aunt, no, you don't do that. They brought it, you know. So my mother didn't get along with my aunt from the beginning. Which I don't blame them. It was a house of 3 bedrooms. We came, we were already 7 people.
Uh-huh.
Can you imagine 7 people coming to your house and staying? Matter of fact,
For months.
For months. She found my father a job. She found us jobs. Then that's what really bothered her, my mother, because she had 3 girls from old maids. My mother said to her, I don't want my kids to be old maids and I don't want to be in Reading, Pennsylvania. I want to go to New York. How do we go to New York? We don't have any money.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, while in all those camps, we made friends, and my father tried to verskatten me with a boyfriend. He was very rich, and he thought that he was in Brooklyn already, this boyfriend. And some friends they arranged, they got us an apartment on Liberty Avenue in Brooklyn. And we left Reading because my mother said there is no place that it isn't a place for girls. She had 4 girls. She
Hang
saw
on.
it's a small place there, yeah.